we talked about just the chaos right now as far as the college football playoff and how if Alabama beats Georgia, it will really get crazy. So just kind of summarize for us what's going on.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the word chaos because, theoretically, if the 4 undefeated teams all win in the conference championship game, you would think, hey, those are the 4 teams that are going to the college football playoff. That would be number 1, Georgia, number 2, Michigan, number 3, Washington, who's currently winning 10-0 right now, and number 4, Florida State. However, in case you didn't know, Florida State's starting quarterback, Jordan Travis, suffered a gruesome leg injury a few weeks ago, and he's obviously out for the season. Further complicating matters, their backup quarterback, who's set to play in the ACC Championship game tomorrow, is questionable because of a head injury.
What is it, a game-time decision?
Game-time decision, yes.
They could be down to their third string
Could be down to their third-string quarterback, which has led many people to say, even before this backup situation took place, how on earth could even a undefeated Florida State team make the college football playoff considering without their all-world starting quarterback, Jordan Travis, they're definitely not one of the 4 best teams in college football. So it's led to a lot of discourse.
Wait a minute. Pump the brakes, Rob G.
Yep.
Didn't Cardale Jones?
Cardale Jones did. Yes, he did.
Jones.
Chris, he turned in an unbelievable performance.
No, he
right?
did. He did, and then vanished.
And then, right.
No,
came back.
he did.
He came back to college. Remember, he came back.
Yeah.
I would have
He
never
did.
played another college game after that. I mean, he was spectacular.
He was.
What was he, third string too? Wasn't he third string? Rob G?
I'm not sure.
I know
he was. He started the season
Chris, he was like third
string behind Braxton Miller and JT Barrett.
Yes.
And JT Barrett got hurt against Michigan. So Cardale Jones came in and beat Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game.
What did he do? Put the numbers, Rob G. You got them?
They won 59-0.
Chris, it was ridiculous.
I remember.
He was named the MVP of the game.
Yep.
And then his second start was, of course, in the Sugar Bowl, which was the semifinal playoff game. They win 42-35. And then they go to the championship game to take on the Oregon Ducks. He goes for 280 all-purpose yards, 2 touchdowns.
No, I get.
Ends up winning, and then they're like, "Hey, maybe he should declare for the draft." He didn't. Came back to school, lost his starting gig to JT Barrett the next season, and the rest.
Let's
is
not
history.
get caught up on Cardale Jones.
Right?
No.
I
don't want to, but I'm just gonna say, that was bad advice. Whoever that was bad advice.
I mean, he obviously wasn't gonna make it anyway. But
Right.
yeah, it would have been nice for him to get in there. But this is why I am excited about the 12-team playoff next year. Because if Alabama, which is number 8 right now, beats Georgia in the SEC title game, and Alabama's only loss, they will have one loss, it'll be to Texas. So Georgia now will have a loss. Alabama will have the same record and had beaten Georgia. Okay, but Georgia only has one loss. So they can say, and they're the 2-time defending champion, you definitely want them in the playoff with a chance to defend their championship if they had a good team, and they did. So which one of them are you taking? And then if Texas wins, how can you take Texas is number 7. They beat Alabama. So how can you take Alabama, which has one loss, but not take Texas, which has one loss, but beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa?
Gesundheit.
I mean, it really is chaos. Now, if Georgia beats Alabama, then that makes things easier. You just got Georgia. If Michigan wins, Washington wins, and then I guess they could take Florida State. You wouldn't have to worry about hearing from Texas because, hey, the team, you beat Alabama, you think you're big stuff, they're not getting in. You wouldn't have to hear from Ohio State. You lost to Michigan, you had your chance. Oregon, you lost to Washington, you had your chance. And Florida State, even though I don't think particularly without their starting quarterback, Rob, that they're a top 4 team in the country, you could put them in that way. But if Alabama wins, I mean, Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Texas, those to me would be the 5 best teams in the land. And maybe you even want to throw in Ohio State. I think all of them are better than Florida State. And Rob, this is part of why you see some lopsided playoff games, because a lot of times the committee picks the team that kind of looks like it should be there, but we know they're really not one of the 4 best.
You mean like Michigan getting molly-whopped?
I don't think Michigan that year, but obviously they did get crushed. I'm thinking TCU, and I would be thinking Florida State this year with their 2nd or 3rd string quarterback.
Well, this makes my argument and my case on why you shouldn't expand the playoffs, because there aren't enough quality opponents.
There are. We trying to figure out how what 4 are the best right now.
No, but I'm talking about the games, Chris, haven't lived up to that is what I mean.
I could go to games in every sport where you get blowouts in playoffs.
It seems like you have more. We've done the numbers over and over. The average score is like 17 points. I mean, that just doesn't seem like playoff football for a championship when teams are losing like that. I don't expect every game, Chris, to be a nail-biter and a field goal with no time left on the clock. But there have been a lot of lopsided games, so I'm starting to question, are there really more than 4 teams that should be vying for the national championship? That's what I'm not convinced of. I'm not convinced that there are 12 teams good enough to win the national championship.
Well, there might not be 12 good enough. But I think there's not 14 good enough in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? They're not 68 good enough in college basketball. I think 12, though, look, I would have been fine with 8, but 12 is good because out of those 12, you're definitely going to get, I don't know if it's 5 or 6 or whatever that upper echelon is, they're going to be in the tournament. Now, I mean, we can't figure out the 4 best. And what is reminding me of, Rob, and I got to be honest, it hasn't felt this way every year, but this year it certainly feels like going back to the mythical days when it was like, well, they're all going to play their bowl game, and whoever looks the best against the best
they're
opponent,
the national champion,
right? They're going to be, where we were just doing it ourselves without settling it on the field, so to speak. And so I'm all for settling it on the field. And that's why, we've talked in the past about will they eventually end up with some type of NFL light type system where you just got 2 conferences and 3 or 4 divisions in each conference and you have a playoff like the NFL. That would be settling it on the field. Why in the world is college football, at least FBS level, or Division I level? I always get FBS, FCS mixed up. But why are they the only ones? Every other level of football settles it on the field, and they don't. And it's like I know Division I AA doesn't have more time than you do. They don't have fewer classes than you do.
But
Division II, Division III.
It's about which schools they want, Chris, that travel, that are going to sell out the place, that are going to, I mean, it's unfair. It's unfortunate. Schools that don't travel well and whatnot, they don't want them to be involved.
But to me, it's simple. You just make, if you're talking about the bowl games, make the bowl games the playoffs. Each playoff game can be a bowl, named the bowl game if that's what you want. And those fan bases, Rob, that travel will definitely travel to playoff games. And so I just think, like, in a year like this, it's just, I'm telling you, man, if Alabama beats Georgia and Georgia gets in and Alabama doesn't, or Alabama gets in and Georgia doesn't, or both of them get in, and there's no way they both would get in if Michigan wins and Washington wins, that Texas is going to get in. I mean, it's going to be, and I get it. You can say, well, every year somebody feels slighted. But this is a year where you're really looking at it like it's just kind of crazy. So